In a far rim academy that drifted between pale suns, a group of young cadets stood on a wide deck made of crystal alloy. Where training drills usually filled the air with calm order, yet on this day a small cub with bright eyes and soft fur leaped from a low rail and climbed onto the shoulder of a visiting human who had come from a blue world far beyond the charts. And the cub held on with gentle paws while the cadets gasped and backed away in fear, yet the human only grinned and did not move, because the human knew that fear made small things dangerous and calm made them curious, and this calm carried like a warm breeze across the deck. The cadets were many kinds of beings, some tall, some wide, some with scales, and some with light feathers, yet all of them had been taught that the cubs of this station were not to be touched because their parents were fierce guardians, and even a small mistake could cause great harm. Yet the human named Eli had walked through many storms and strange skies and knew that living minds sought kindness first, and so Eli stood still and let the cub sniff the air and rub its face against the human Chike mentor named Rook, watched from a distance with wide eyes because Rook had trained these cadets for many cycles and never once had a cub dared to come so close to an outsider. Yet here it was perched like a living badge on the shoulder of a human from a far world, and Rook felt a shift in the air, like history taking a quiet step forward. Cub chirred in a soft tone that meant wonder, and Eli spoke in a low voice that was slow and gentle, telling the cub about oceans and tall trees and warm sands. Even though the cub could not know the words, the tone carried peace, and the cadets saw this and felt their fear loosen like knots in rope. One cadet named Leo, with silver skin and bright eyes, took a step forward, though the others still held back. And Leo had always believed that humans were wild and loud, yet this one stood like a calm hill under a blue sky, and Leo wondered if all the stories had been wrong, though. Station had long been wary of humans because in the past a fleet had come with loud engines and sharp demands. Yet Eli was not part of that fleet and had come alone as a scout and friend, and now this small moment with a cub was shaping a new tale for all who watched. The cub shifted its weight and tapped Eli on the head with a paw as if claiming a perch, and Eli laughed in a soft way that did not startle anyone. And the cadets could not help but smile. Even those with hard shells and sharp teeth felt the warmth of the scene. Rook stepped closer and spoke with a voice that carried respect, asking Eli how the human had known to stand still. And Eli answered that on the blue world small animals climbed on gentle giants all the time, and that patience was a kind of strength. Words spread among the cadets, and some of them nodded because they too had learned that strength did not always mean force. And now they saw it in action through a simple moment between a cub and a human. As time passed, the cub settled into a comfortable place and began to purr, a sound that echoed softly across the deck. And this sound drew the attention of a large guardian, who approached with careful steps. Yet when the guardian saw the calm of the cub and the steady posture of Eli, the guardian did not attack, but watched with deep eyes that held wisdom and caution. Eli met those eyes without fear and bowed slightly, showing respect, and the guardian returned the gesture in its own way by lowering its head, and this exchange told a silent story of trust that no translator could capture. The cadets whispered among themselves, and some recorded the moment for the Academy archives because they knew that this was more than a simple meeting. It was a bridge being built between worlds. Leo moved closer and asked Eli if the cub could be touched, and Eli looked to the guardian, who gave a slow nod, and so Leo reached out with a trembling hand and felt the soft fur of the cub, and a new understanding took root in that gentle contact. The Academy had always taught caution with outsiders, yet now it would teach something more, that kindness could open doors that fear kept closed, and this lesson would echo through future cycles. Ellie stayed on the deck for a long while, telling stories of human explorers who had crossed deep space not to conquer, but to learn, and the cadets listened with growing interest, because these tales were different from the harsh myths they had heard. The cub eventually climbed down and returned to its guardian. It looked back once, as if to remember the human who had been a warm perch in a strange place, and Eli watched with a soft smile that held hope. Rook later spoke to the council about the event and said that perhaps the time had come to invite more humans to the Academy, not as threats, but as partners, and the council listened because they trusted Rook, and they had seen the recording of the cub and the human. Thus, small moment became a turning point, and the academy began to change its ways, opening halls to new voices and new ideas. And Eli was asked to stay as a guest teacher to share the ways of human patience. Encouraged, the cadets trained with renewed spirit and learned that bravery could be quiet, and that trust could grow from simple acts. And whenever they saw a cub on the deck, they remembered the day one had climbed onto a human shoulder, and how that had shifted their view of the galaxy. Eli continued to explore the station, meeting beings of many kinds, and always offering a calm presence that eased old fears and built new bonds. And in this way, humanity found a place, not through force, but through heart. The stars outside the window seemed to shine a little brighter as if they too approved of this new chapter, and the academy became a symbol of unity where once there had been walls end. So the story of the cub and the human spread across space, inspiring others to seek gentle paths and reminding all that, even in a vast and wild universe, a single act of kindness could change everything.